Is this PPT visible to everyone? Is it visible, guys? Okay, thank you, Mudit. So today we're gonna discuss that there is how many things through which you can judge perfect exposure. Just like that, how your camera is judging the exposure when you are using in auto mode or program mode and which mode. And even in your phone camera, you can see many times that arrow and that things is falling in center. So how your camera is judging the things and how many more things is there through which you are able to know that कि आप perfectly exposed हो या नहीं हो, either you are overexposing or either you underexposed, right? So to know those things, mainly there is a three or four things through which you can judge the exposure. First one is the metering mode. As you can see in your camera, there is a metering mode. Have you seen that those numbers like 1 second if I have or not. Yeah, this one. See my cursor, and everyone, if you guys have ever using cameras, you have seen these things, these numbers. There's the metering. So if it will be on plus side, right hand side, you can see it's a plus. In the left hand side, it's minus. In center, it's a 0. So when it will be on 0. So it's your camera is telling you or giving you information that you are perfectly exposed in terms of mid gray. You are not over, you are not under. Once you will, once that arrow will fall on the right hand side, it means you are one stop over. Same things with the left side, the minus hand side. If that arrow will fall on that side, it means your camera is giving you information about how much a stop dark you are. So through the camera metering mode, you can also judge your exposure. In metering mode, there's a different types of metering mode in your camera, like a spot metering, evolutive, center weighted, matrix, right? So how your camera is judging those things. So in metering mode, there's a two types of metering mode. One is reflective metering mode. One is incident metering mode. So your camera is judging reflective metering mode, means whatever light that is falling on the character when your camera or any other gadget is judging those exposure, that is called reflective metering mode. The incident, whatever light is falling on your character, if something that is judging those things called incident metering mode. Whatever light that is falling on your character, like this, here's the example, you can see. The left one, you can see the light that is falling on the character. Now your camera is judging the things. Or instead of camera, maybe there will be the light meter, because light meter have the both settings as well as reflective as well as incident metering mode. So this one is incident, and whatever light that is falling, if your meter is judging those things, that is called incident light metering. So through in metering, there's a two things, that is reflective or incident. Your camera have the reflective light metering. So whatever mode is your camera is using, that is reflective, through which your camera is judging your exposure. So one thing is metering mode. Second is your histogram. You guys have seen histogram in your camera.
Yes,
This
sir.
kind of graphically, yeah, this kind of the graphical representation of your exposure is called histogram. Through histogram, you can also judge your exposure. In histogram, there's a two things, highlights, shadows, and mid-tone. इसी का इंफॉर्मेशन देता है आपका हिस्टोग्राम कि हाउ मच like brightness is there, how much shadows is there, and how much midtone is there. Iska information graphically representation of those information of exposure is judging by the histogram. Through the histogram, you can also check your exposure. Just like the metering mode, you are checking those exposure. इसके थ्रू भी आप जज कर सकते हो. थर्ड इज मॉनिटर. मॉनिटर में क्या आता है? मॉनिटर में दो तीन चीजें आती हैं. वन इज फॉल्स कलर through which you can judge your exposure. In monitor, there is a certain things. Okay, 0 to 100 IRE, it's called IRE, International Radio Engineering. On that scale, from 0 is pitch black, 100 is pure white, that the burning, right? Pitch black to pure white. So in those ranges, right, there is a certain numbers. 0 to 10, it will be the darkest range. 70 will be the proper mid gray. After 19, it's overexposed. It means beyond the dynamic range. After 19, it start burning, right? So in 0 to 100 scale, it's measuring like that. Also, there's a waveform monitor through which you can judge your exposure. In these things, there is one more thing that is called zebra. The many, if you guys have used Sony cameras or Panasonic cameras, those camera have these features. You can, if you switch on these features like the zebra, you can see that the whatever the overexposed area on which you feel that there's a lines like the zebra is making over there. But the one drawback with the zebra is it will only give you the information about the overexposed area, not about the underexposed. So anything that is beyond the mid gray, जो burn करना start करता है, right? That information is given by your sorry, zebra. So you guys have many times used those things. Whoever जो भी सोनी का कैमरा यूज कर रहे हो या पैनासोनिक have those features, है ना? चलिए. क्या कह रहा है? Camera see everything in grayscale. This means that all your camera see is a world of tones, is colorless world. It means ये exposure को बताता है how it made like that. See the black. ब्लैक का भी मिड टोन ग्रे होगा. ग्रे विल बी द ग्रे, व्हाइट विल बी द ग्रे. ये कैमरा आपका ये देखता है. इट विल नॉट लाइक कि व्हाइट है तो उसको इतना अमाउंट मिलेगा और ब्लैक है तो इसको इतना अमाउंट मिलेगा. इफ योर कैमरा विल गिव यू द इंफॉर्मेशन कि व्हाट विल बी द मिड ग्रे फॉर द एनीथिंग, इट विल गिव यू द इंफॉर्मेशन लाइक दिस. It should be within the gray scale tone, right? The gray scale called the mid tone, basically that the gray called the mid tone. तो जो भी जज कर रहा है, either your camera is judging it, either your light meter is judging is, right? Anything that is judging it, they are judging their exposure value on the mid tone. कि how your image is in mid gray. Look. This is the incident light meter that you can see. The incident light meter like that. There's a dome called white dome जिसपे की लाइट पड़ती है और उसको जज करते हैं. I know. So this is the incident light metering. We'll not get in detail of it because ये आपको पूछने वाला नहीं है. It will come with the histogram. Most modern digital camera have four histogram. The primary one is the luminosity histogram that shows overall brightness of a scene. This histogram usually has a monochromatic display, either white data on a black chart or vice versa. It means black पे white होगा, either the white पे black होगा. The other three histogram are the color histogram representing red, green and blue sensitive pixel on the sensor. ये पर पिक्सल में जो भी इंफॉर्मेशन आ रहा है, either the brightness or the shadows or mid tone, उसको बताता है आपका हिस्टोग्राम. And how it represented it looks like that. See, according to the histogram, this is in the mid tone. Mid tone means it's not over, it's not under. So overall, there's the information of shadows as well as the highlights. तो दोनों के information लगभग same है, so it will fall in the category of mid tone. And how your like histogram should look. if there's a mid-tone, most of the time it's look like there will be the peak of the hill in the center. So यहाँ पर क्या हो रहा है, हाईलाइट भी है शेडो, बट द मोस्ट ऑफ द एरिया इज इन मिड टोन एरियाज, जो बहुत ब्राइट भी नहीं है बहुत डार्क भी नहीं, देयर इज अ लेस एरियाज जो डार्क है, जो लेफ्ट साइड दिखा रहा है, बट फॉर द ब्राइटर देयर इज नो बर्निंग एरियाज. सो दैट्स द रीजन आपको लेफ्ट हैंड सॉरी राइट हैंड साइड में कुछ नहीं ज्यादा दिखा रहा है. सो मोस्ट ऑफ द इंफॉर्मेशन दैट इज इन मिड टोन, तो ज्यादा इंफॉर्मेशन है वो मिड टोन में है. यू कैन सी द इमेज अगेन. हैव यू सीन एनी एरिया दैट इज बर्निंग? नहीं. ब्लैक का इंफॉर्मेशन टॉप पे ज्यादा है, सो दैट्स द रीजन यहाँ पर कुछ ब्लैक दिखाई दे रहे हैं. क्या कर रहा है? टू इफेक्टिवली यूज द हिस्टोग्राम यू नीड टू नो द थ्री थिंग्स. वो क्या है कि हिस्टोग्राम रीड कैसे करना है, हाउ टू रीड द हिस्टोग्राम, राइट? द सीन and your goal didn't mean that if your camera is telling you that you need to shoot on proper mid-tone, it didn't mean that. Sometimes if you have to shoot too contrasty image, or if you have to shoot less contrast image, you will not need to follow the histogram. Always it should be in a mid gray, right? It's totally depend upon your goal. Goal means what you want to shoot. Do you want to shoot a total contrasty image? You wanted to shoot either the mid gray or either the dark section. It's totally depend upon you. Which kind of mood or which kind of settings that you want. But to know these things, by knowing these things, you are able to also like achieve those settings, achieve those things that you want, right? So always is not preferable that ki it should be in mid tone. ऐसा नहीं है. आप अपने like users के हिसाब से और अपने like interest के हिसाब से you can use those things. क्या करें? This histogram is horizontal. Horizontal क्या हो गया? That axis, horizontal axis shows luminance, कि how bright your image is from pure black to pure white. How from the left hand side it will be the darker area, from the right hand side it will for the brightness, that the shadows and highlights. Y axis indicate the relative quantity of light for a given luminance, कि उस particular area पे जो luminance है वो कितना है, right? हायर है, कम है, ज्यादा है, क्या है वो दिखाता है आपको. That's the y-axis. So sometimes on the y-axis you can see that in the left hand side there's a pic, there is a line, there is a spike in the left hand side. एक spike सी line दिख रही है आप लोगों को in the left hand side. So that is the value of that luminance, right? That is the value of. So if there is a like kind of a spike is there, it means it's beyond the, it's a beyond the dynamic range of your camera. If there will be the spike, so it means it's a beyond the your range. But for what is it in left? Is it left side, right? So left means what? The left side means it's giving you information for the black. So there is a certain area that is totally dark and your camera's dynamic range is not able to capture those details. So that's the reason there will be the spike. Same things happen if there is some, more highlights area in the right hand side and your camera's dynamic range is not capable to record those information. At that point of time, that spike will be on the right hand side. If you've seen any spike in your histogram, you know that there is something that is not, that is beyond the dynamic range of camera. So you can control it by changing the exposure, or you can control it by controlling the lights or putting the lights. No. So that's the y-axis. This one is called the y-axis. This one is called x-axis. Is anyone any problem? यहाँ तक समझ रहा है? If anyone has confusion, just ask. तभी आगे बढ़ूंगा मैं.
हाँ सर, ठीक है, ये समझ में आ गया.
आ रहा है? चलिए. एक एग्जांपल बताया, देख लीजिए जो मैंने बता दिया. Same things written over there. Key, if you shoot overexposed area, that spike will be on the right hand side. If you show that uh, the darker area, that your camera don't have that much of capacity. So ये आपके कैमरे के हिस्टोग्राम में दिखा देगा इन द लेफ्ट हैंड साइड. और अगर आपका मिड टोन में है, देयर विल बी द हम मींस द पिक ऑफ द हिल काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स, देयर विल बी हिल काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स इन मिड टोन रेंज, अगर इमेज आपका ऐसा है तो. ये बड़ा सिंपल है. इफ योर कैमरा इज 8 बिट इमेज, सपोज करो योर कैमरा हैव द 8 बिट इमेज और 10 बिट, टोटली डिपेंड. 8 बिट मींस 256 सेट्स, 0 to 256, राइट. तो आप 256 जिसे कहते हैं आप, सेट्स ऑफ व्हाट, सेट्स ऑफ ग्रे फ्रॉम 0 टू व्हाइट के बीच में जो है यही रेंज होगा. ऑन वाई एक्सिस हाउ मच दैट इन 256 इन 0, हाउ मच स्पाइक इज देयर, और either it is in mid range or either is like too dark. Same for the right hand side, is it in your range or not, right? Okay, the histogram basically shows you the brightness of an image. If you take an image and see the majority of the body of the graph towards the right, this means you have captured a high key image. High key image means, मैंने आपको स्टार्टिंग में बताया था, high key image means low contrast. बिकॉज सब चीजें जो सारी चीजें कहाँ जा रही है, राइट हैंड साइड. सो राइट हैंड साइड मीन्स व्हाट, राइट हैंड साइड मीन्स मोर ब्राइटनेस एरियाज, राइट. सो अगर डे टाइम में शूट करते हो, मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम इट विल बी ऑन द राइट हैंड साइड. सो हाई की लाइटिंग मीन्स देयर इज अ लो कॉन्ट्रास्ट. Opposite, a histogram with the data showing mostly on the left is a low-key image that might appear underexposed. If you are making an image of high contrast scene, very dark and very bright, you might see a U-shaped histogram. It's very simple. अगर बहुत कॉन्ट्रास्टी इमेज बनाना होगा आपको तो क्या होगा, देयर विल बी द टू डार्क शैडोज एरिया, देयर इज अ हाइलाइट्स, राइट. देयर इज नो टोटली मिड टोन, बहुत ज्यादा मिड टोन का इंफॉर्मेशन नहीं होगा. सो इट्स लुक लाइक यू शेप ऑफ योर ग्राफ. सो without seeing your image, by seeing your histogram, you can say that your image is contrasting image, or either your image, whatever lighting in your image is the high key lighting or low key lighting, by showing the graphs of the histogram graphs. Now see this one. Give me 1 minute on this. In this image, as you can see, most of the area is darker area. In center or the foreground, there is a highlights. When on the chair, there is a highlights. Some of area is highlighted area. Most of the area is a darker area. There is a no mid tone at all. बहुत ज़्यादा mid tone नहीं है. So you can see the shape of this things. This is making you kind of things. बन रहा है ना? Again, see. ये क्या हो रहा है? It's giving you the information for the pixels. Now see the how much area is the right side is a dark. So that's the reason in the left hand side. See the left hand side, there's a much more area, right? In your images have the dark information, like every pixel have the dark information. So that's one reason ये जो shape आपको दिख रहा है is the real images का real histogram है. It's not the fake. Real image का real histogram है. Right. So you can see on the left hand side there's a more darker area. So the right hand side कुछ area highlighted है, that is foreground and that the lights on the chair. So that's the reason right hand side there is a few information in pixels. ये pixels के information आपको दिखा रहा है कि particular pixels have those kind of highlighted information. So that's the reason, as I told you earlier, the histogram should look like the U shape. No. Low key. अब इसमें क्या हो रहा है, लो की में देयर इज नो मच मोर हाईलाइटेड एरियाज, बहुत ज्यादा नहीं है. सो क्या हो गया, मिड टोन से शैडोज की ओर, मिड टोन टू शैडोज, फ्रॉम द मिड टोन टू शैडोज देयर इज नो मच मोर हाईलाइटेड एरिया. सो इसका शेप कुछ ऐसा जाएगा. read it once. मैंने इसी को कहा था कि क्या होता है कि 10 मन, यू कैन सी दिस इज कॉल्ड द क्लिपिंग. A spike touching the left edge of the histogram means that there is a shadows clipping. The dark area of the image are outside of the camera's dynamic range to the point that the camera cannot discern any information from those regions. The camera says by exposing for the major portion of the image, I have created an area of the photo so dark that I cannot see anything there. So I'm going to call it pure black. Spikes touching the right is and representative of the camera saying the opposite. When I expose for the major portion of the image, this one region is so bright that I cannot tell if there is an object in that region. So I will call it pure white. So basically, clipping means, अभी मैंने आपको बता दिया कि it's not in your dynamic range. Maybe in the same lighting conditions, if you use another camera, that camera have the greater dynamic range, so maybe there will be no spike. But if your camera have the certain range of dynamic range, you have to control it. Clipping means it's very simple. If there is a spike that it touching the edge of your histogram, it means there will be no information for the particular pixels in that particular pixels. So you can control it by exposure or by external lighting or by diffusing the lighting. But here again, if I want this kind of images, right? So it's not necessary to follow the histograms rule, right? So if you want that kind of images through the histogram, you can judge it. You wanted to achieve this kind of feel. So if your histogram is like that, you can say, yeah, ye low key lighting ho gayi hamari. You are getting that things. Now the same things. Is there any dark areas? Shadows areas? बहुत ज्यादा shadows area है ही नहीं. Highlights है, burn कर रहा है. See the texture. Or how much a spike is there? See this image again. This is spike call. This one is the high key clipping, say in the low key clipping. अभी क्या हुआ, through the exposure you wanted to control it, so highlighted area क्या हुआ, there is a certain texture that you can recognize, but to control those things अब क्या हुआ है, बहुत सारे areas darker zone में चले गए, which your camera is not able to record in the sense it's not in the record to करेगा, but it's not in your dynamic range, so there is no texture or there is no detail of it that will comes up. Now you can see जो highlighted area जो burn कर रहा है, so right hand side there's a clipping, but then in the same time the see the left hand side there's a more darker area, there's a more darker zone. Very simple. So if someone asks you which kind of clipping in low key lighting, sorry, not the clipping, which kind of histogram in low key lighting, which kind of shape that you found when you are doing the low key lighting. अगर आपको चार शेप ऐसे इमेजेस बना के दे देंगे, आर यू एबल टू फाइंड आउट, या फिर से देखना है? It's very simple to understand these things. Right hand side for the right hand side for the brightness, left hand side for the shadows, center will be the mid-tone. If something that is touching the edge of your things, the y-axis, that is called clipping. Either it will be on left hand side, it means in shadows area it's clipping. If it will fall in the right hand side, it means highlight area is clipping. That's the things. So I think, is it clear histogram? Or anyone have any doubt? Can ask. कुछ पूछना है तो पूछ लीजिए, दूसरा टॉपिक स्टार्ट करें. चलिए फिर. Oh, let's start with the light meter. As you told you earlier, in your camera there's an inbuilt light meter, that is reflective light meter. So how your camera work, how your camera judge that light? As you know, what is image is? Image is just the pattern of light that is coming through the lens and falling on your sensor, right? So that's the optical image. आता है कहाँ पर? सेंसर पे. सेंसर का काम क्या होता है? टू कन्वर्ट इट इन इलेक्ट्रॉनिक सिग्नल्स. सो ये जो प्रोसेस है, whatever the light that is hitting your sensor, now there's a metering mode. Through that mode, your camera decided, is that light, whatever light is falling on the particular pixels, particular areas, is it, in a shadows area or more highlighted area, or either is it in mid-tone? To judge those things, your camera have the inbuilt light meter, right? So suppose, or for an example, it means your camera is judging your exposure for whatever the area that is you are viewing in scene, right? Whatever your camera area is captured by you, whatever area that is captured by your camera will give you the information about those things, will give you the information about those exposure, right? So somehow, maybe, or sometimes if you wanted to know the particular area's exposure, it's very difficult, right? Because somehow your camera is giving you information about overall scene. So in overall scene, what happened? There is a highlight area, there is a shadows area, there is a mid-tone. सबको mix up करके now your camera is judging the things. Is it in mid-tone, or is it in overexposed, or is it underexposed? So it's very difficult. Sometimes if you are shooting landscape is okay, but if you are using portrait, right, at that point of time there's a background that is burning. So you must have to be very careful once you are using those metering mode. So in your camera, you guys can see this kind of metering mode is over there. Matrix or evaluative metering mode. Matrix is the same name is different, but it works same. Matrix that is using by Nikon, and evaluative metering mode that is uses by Canon. So matrix mode क्या करता है? Once you are choosing the matrix mode, your camera is judging the overall exposure, whatever entire scene, whatever that is viewing through your viewfinder or the live view mode, जो भी area दिखाई दे रहा है. If you switch on the matrix mode, if you not switch on, if you select the matrix mode, your camera will give you the information about those whole areas, right? Now the center weighted, if you shift on the center weighted only give you the information about the center area. Now there's a partial metering that will give you only the information about 8 to 12% areas, right? And now there's a spot metering. In a spot metering, it will only give you the information about 1.5 to 3% of your frame. एक अगर आपने यूज किया होगा तो you can see that the very small dots or circles सा बना हुआ आता है. So सिर्फ your camera will only give you the information like whatever area, judging the exposure of that particular area only. Your camera will not judge exposure, is not judging your exposure of the entire frame. If you are using matrix mode, your camera will judge the entire frame exposure. So if there is a background, there is a foreground, darker areas, highlighted areas, they mix up, average it, then give you the information now you are over or now you are under, right? So that kind of things is happen over there in matrix. So now how to choose this particular settings, right? कि कब कैसे चूज करना चाहिए. तो ना totally depend upon you कि what is your center of interest. If you're shooting landscape, you wanted to set your exposure for what? The mountain or either the character that is in foreground or whatever you want, right? So according to your uses, you can choose those features. These are the features. Now, a few camera have the multi-spot metering also there, right? So according to your uses, you can use it. So let's take an example and see if you are not choosing a right metering mode, and if you are using or you are believing on the metering mode, how it could be. ये कैसा होगा देखिए. In matrix mode, your camera is taking exposure, taking information of whole areas, the background that is brighter, see the subject is a bit darker. वो ऐसा नहीं कि ये आपका डायनामिक रेंज में नहीं, इट्स इन योर डायनामिक रेंज, बट इट्स अ बिट डार्कर. इफ यू कंपेयर इट, टेक्स्ट यू आर नॉट गेटिंग टेक्सचर ऑफ इट. ब्राइट नहीं है बट टेक्सचर भी नहीं आ रहा है, राइट? In matrix mode, because the reason is your camera is taking information from the background, foreground, whatever area is whole frames information your camera is taking. Now center weighted, it's more diffuse. The reason, center is a bit off center this image is the most of the area that is highlighted, either the foreground, the background or bit area of this image is this product is. अब क्या हुआ? For that reason, you can see most highlighted area, more highlighted area will fall in the center weighted. So now your camera will tell you that you are overexposed buddy. Now अभी इसको center में लेके आओ. To put it in center, आपको क्या करना पड़ेगा? You have to reduce the intensity of light, or either you have to cut down the light by changing your settings by exposure compensation, because your metering is showing you that you are overexposed. You are not perfectly exposed, you are overexposed. So that's the one reason. अब क्या किया यहाँ पर, इसको आपको बता दिया भाई you are one stop overexposed. So to compensate it, either through the light you need to compensate, or either through the exposure setting you have to compensate it. So that's the reason. Again, you can see this is one stop darker. No. So this one. See the center weighted mode. The same camera, right? Same position, same product. What happened for the spot metering? It will only judge the exposure, giving you the information about that particular subject areas. सिर्फ उसी पर्टिकुलर सब्जेक्ट का जो भी है आपके फ्रेम में, just giving you the information about those things कि now your camera will only judge, now your camera will only tell you about those particular area. It will not take the whole areas like information and giving you those information. It will only give you the information about that particular spot. So that's the reason on that spot you can feel that, or your camera feel that you are underexposed. So one or two stop. So what you will do, you have to compensate it. You have to take those like arrow in center. So to take that arrow in center, now you can say, you can feel the texture of it. दिखाई दे रहा है अब इस प्रोजेक्ट का? You can see the texture. Now see the first image. If you have to shoot this product, like if you have to shoot this product only, that's your center of interest. That's why I'm keep telling you one thing. You must have to figure it out. What is your center of interest is? If you can see this one, this area, background is somehow perfectly exposed, sahi hai. But what about this product? And this one, it's become more darker. So this is the real texture, right? This is the real texture of your product. But somehow now what happened with the background? Now the background is too dark. No, sorry, background is too later. Background is start burning to set your exposure according to your product. क्या हो गया यहाँ पर ये चीजें change हो गई हैं. So whenever you are doing lighting, you don't have the another kind of metering mode, or you don't have the waveform monitor, you don't have the false color. By the camera metering mode, you can judge the exposure. By spot metering, if you get that area, okay, this is the things, how much stop light that you needed. What you can do, if you see you are two stop under, for this background, you are perfectly exposed. So what you can do, you can put only, you can do lighting for this area only. So what happened? Your camera setting will remain same. If you increase the light, increase the intensity of light on this product, what happen? It will be in pollen center and you will get product and as well as background properly exposed. So through the metering mode also you can set your exposure, right? But every time it won't work. The reason is how reflective surface of your product is, right? How reflective it is पे भी depend, because अगर suppose करो for black, something that is black, you put light on it, क्या करता है black? To absorb those things, right? To make it gray, you need more light or you have to play with the exposure. So it's totally depend upon ki how reflective surface of your product or subject is, right? To just see an example of it, ki how it works. Now you guys have understood those metering mode?
Yes, sir.
कोई confusion है? How many of you have used this metering mode before for the exposure? You guys have ever used it?
Yes, sir.
यस
पहले
सर,
किया ही
यस सर, एज अ टेस्ट शॉट कई यूज किया है, मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम इन इनिशियली लाइक स्टार्टिंग डेज में काफी यूज किया है.
Yeah, that's it. So you know that how to use it, right? If the people who are not aware of it, you guys can take your camera and you can check it in same lighting conditions. But see to it, there will be the brighter area and the darker area. So क्या होगा तुम्हारे लिए आसान हो जाएगा कि वो compensate करना and जानना कि how it works basically. Because many times the many photographer have they are working since 10 years. They are using this metering mode for the focus. They are thinking that they are not using it. They are thinking this metering mode for the focus on. Surely. क्या हो रहा है? Incident light hits the subject. Subject absorbs some light. Most is reflected back outwards. Reflected light bounces off subject and is captured by the camera, and your camera have the reflective light meter that is judging the exposure. Let's see. वो पढ़ लीजिए सर. चलिए देखते हैं। Now see the settings. D7100, 200 mm lens, f2.8, 1/8000 of a second. According to the metering mode, your camera is giving you the information. Now you are perfectly exposed. The reason is the most of the area जो अभी जिसको exposure ले रहे थे, is wearing white shirt, white t-shirts. तो क्या दिखा रहा है? White cloth क्या करते हैं? It will reflect more amount of light, right? So तुम्हारा कैमरा क्या जज कर रहा है? There is a much more light. So they compensate it and will give you the information. You are overexposed. So according to that, what you did, आप exposure compensation करते हो. So that's the reason when you are wearing white, you can see how dark it is. Now see this one. Says wearing that the dark cloth. Most of the light is absorbed by it. Right? अब क्या हो गया? To get the texture of it and to make it in the mid gray, your camera will give you or instruct you. Now you just raise your exposure, just play with the exposure, increase the light because you are under. So you have to choose these things very carefully. You don't need to depend upon those settings only. You have to know that key how much light that you needed. So what you can do over here, you can set spot metering, just set lighting for the face only if you're shooting portrait and at all. So face ka texture agar aa gaya, the rest of the things is okay. Right? So don't expose for the overall scene. You can expose for the particular portrait, just expose for the face only. So if your face is lit up, rest of the things will work, right? And also you can judge those things by अभी मैंने example आपको बताया कि if overall scene you wanted to, in terms of mid gray, there will be no spike. So what you can do, you just set according to the spot metering. Like most of the time we are using there was a question in 2016 ना कि backlit subject के लिए कौन सी metering mode use करते हैं. So अब your subject is backlit, so more area in the background, right? So if you are taking the evaluative metering mode or matrix, what happens? Whatever light that is background, your camera just start judging those things. But your character, your subject don't have that much of light. So your character will fall in shadows areas, right? So just try to use spot metering is the answer. If you use a spot metering, your character is perfectly exposed. That's the things. So anyone have any query you can ask related to this metering mode? 1 minute, yes. There was some problem with this. Okay, that I'm aware. So let's start it with the filters. I will not discuss many filters because you didn't need it. And also इतने ज़्यादा filter के बारे में नहीं पूछते हैं. So, but there's a few basic filters on which we'll discuss. So, what you guys mean filter by? Filter का काम क्या होता है? तो explain करो, पता चल जाए. Anyone? What is filter is? The basic work of filter is. पर थोड़ा वक्त तो पढ़ा होगा तुम लोगों ने.
Sir, it controls the intensity of light. We use it in front of the
No, no,
lens.
no, no. I'm not talking about the only anti filters. I'm just asking what is filter means. What does filter means?
Filters are the glass material which are like used for many purposes, like controlling the light, giving some softness, and like using it as a polarizer.
That's the name. The main function of any filters, कहीं भी filter लगा लो, चाहे वो पानी का filter हो, चाहे कैमरे का filter हो, light का filter हो, right? It absorb unwanted things that you don't want. ये absorb करता है. तो filter का पहला काम है absorption. It absorb. जो पहला काम है filter का वो क्या है? Absorption. Absorb कर लेता है. Normal word में use करोगे to cut the unwanted things. That is the work of filters. यही है ना? अरे पानी में जो चीजें आपको नहीं चाहिए उसको रोक देता है, फिर रिफाइन करके देता है आपको. So because whatever that you don't want, that's the reason we are using those filters. So now that there's a different terms that we are using UV filters, it means it will absorb the UV light and pass out whatever the light that you want, right? Same with the another lights, another filters, any filters आप जो use कर रहे हैं वो यही कर रहा है कि it will absorb the things and rest of the things that you want उसको देता है. That's the work of any filter, is either वो UV हो, sky on filter हो, color filter हो, color conversion filter ho. So here we'll discuss only 2 or 3 filters, that is ND filter, chromast filter, and here also why I'm especially just discussing these things, because maybe ND filters is generally in terms of ये regular use है, basically ऐसी चीजें हैं ये की, because इसका कोई impact नहीं होता, it won't change any colors or anything else in your camera. The ND filter used only for the to reduces the intensity of light, right? It's only uses for that, right? So it's very simple things कि आप एनडी फिल्टर के बारे में थोड़ा सा जान सकते हैं कि जिसके बारे में भी क्वेश्चंस आ सकता है, बट नॉट फॉर द अनदर फिल्टर्स. फ्यू फिल्टर्स इज देयर इज अ कलर कन्वर्जन फिल्टर्स, polarized filters, right? एक बार just read it once, पढ़ लीजिए एक बार. मैंने एनडी फिल्टर एक्सप्लेन करने से बेहतर यहाँ मैंने क्वेश्चन लिख दिया, व्हाट आर एनडी फिल्टर्स, व्हाई डू यू नीड देम एंड हाउ टू चूज देम, राइट? So at the time of explaining ND filters, you got to know that why you use ND filters, where to use, in which situations you can use those filters, and क्यों choose करना चाहिए और क्यों use करना चाहिए, right? So there are three, four points that we'll discuss. An ND filter is a special filter designed to reduce the amount of light that passes through it, and therefore the amount of light that ends up on the camera's sensor. It is essentially a darkened piece of glass that is designed not to change anything other than the quality of light, quantity of light that passes through it. ND filters are available in a range of a strength or densities. The weakest look pale gray, while the strongest or densest are deep black and are hard to see through without the aid of a strong light. चलिए देखते हैं. और देख लेते हैं, पहले इमेजेस देखते हैं, डिफरेंसेस देखते हैं. Let's see the image. Is it affected any kind of colors of your images? No. It's only reduces the intensity of light. Right? ये सिर्फ आपके light की intensity को cut कर रहा है. Here you can see that without ND. See the texture of these things. See the texture of the sky. See the texture of these green things in water. Now in this one by using the ND2 and ND4. Right. चलिए बात कर ले, थोड़ा पढ़ लीजिए इसे, then we'll discuss. Commonly used filter, 3 stop filter, 6 stop filters, and 10 stop filters. A stop is basically measurement of the amount of light. If you increment a 1 stop, you are doubling or halving the amount of light. So for example, if you go from a shutter speed of 1 by 250 of a second to 1 by 25th of a second, twice as long, you are doubling the amount of light. That is what referred to as a stop. That we have already, मैंने बता चुका हूँ what is a stop is, either in terms of light, it will be double or half. So a 3 stop filter would let you go from shutter speed is 1 by 25, 1 252 a second of 130. 3 stop कैसे हो गया? 1 stop will be 125, right? 2 stop will be 50 or kind of 62, or 62 को आधा करोगे 3 stop, so it means 1 by 30th. So if you wanted to use slow shutter, right? In slow shutter, if you wanted to shoot, you can use 3 stop filters and you can calculate how the impact of these filters on your like settings, right? Because ये आपके कैमरे पे लगा हुआ है, तो it will give you the information about those things. You must have to know that filter पे लिखा हुआ रहता है what is the filter factor of your anti filter. हर एक फिल्टर पे ये लिखा हुआ रहता है. Now the things कि इससे क्या क्या impact हो सकता है, किस किस चीज पे आप यूज कर सकते. First thing is the aperture. If you in daytime, if you wanted to shoot shallow depth of field, it's very difficult to shoot. You need to control the light properly. So for that's the reason you can use anti filter when you are using when you are shooting outside outdoor, or you wanted to shoot on narrow aperture, a bigger aperture, you want a shallow depth of field. At that point of time, you can use these things. Also, in outdoor, if you wanted to shoot some blurry effect, so you need to use slower shutter speed. But in bright day or daylight, it won't possible to shoot at the slow shutter. So if you have the anti filter, you can shoot it. Second. Hello, depth of field. Same thing. Daytime, you can shoot like this. You can see. चलिए एक और ऑप्शन बताता हूँ कि if maybe there is a ask कि write down the three situations in which right write down the three situations in which you have to use anti filters, right? Three situations. The two that we have already discussed too is if you want shallow depth of field you can use it, right? And if you want to shoot like motion blur kind of things, at that point of time you can use anti filters. But do you feel you can use it inside or indoor for the anti filter? क्या हम इसे अंदर यूज कर सकते हैं इन स्टूडियो?
यस सर, कर
कर
सकते
सकते हैं
हैं। हाँ, कर
क्या?
सकते हैं।
द रीजन?
Reason, it depends. Suppose if you are using any wide aperture lens and you want to create a very blur kind of image, so on that case, अगर हम कोई लाइट यूज करते हैं तो उसको कंट्रोल
नहीं,
करने के
अभी तो मैंने
लिए
वही बता दिया ना. यू ऑलरेडी यू हैव यूज टू सिचुएशंस. अपर्चर के लिए यूज कर चुके हैं. थर्ड सिचुएशन यू हैव टू राइट डाउन. और इंडोर है तो यू कैन कंट्रोल द लाइट प्रॉपरली, राइट? सन को कंट्रोल नहीं कर सकते. इंडोर यू कैन कंट्रोल द लाइट. इंडोर तो आपके हाथ में है ना. तो
बट सर, लाइट को कंट्रोल करेंगे अगर लाइट को मतलब इनकेस अगर हमारे पास लाइट का कंट्रोल बहुत ज्यादा नहीं है डिफ्यूजन वगैरह करने के लिए भी, तो भी हम इसका एनडी फिल्टर का यूज इंडोर में करते ही हैं।
नहीं, एंड फिर तो वही अपर्चर के लिए कर लिया ना आपने.
हाँ सर, अपर्चर के लिए।
ऑलरेडी तो दो सिचुएशन मैंने कहा ना कि राइट डाउन द थ्री सिचुएशंस. व्हाट विल बी थर्ड सिचुएशन? लेट मी एक्सप्लेन व्हाट विल बी द थर्ड सिचुएशन. सपोज फॉर एन, देखो क्या होता है कि अगर ऐसे क्वेश्चंस है, यू हैव टू एक्सप्लेन इन यू नो द प्रैक्टिकल वेज कि हाउ प्रैक्टिकली यू कैन इम्प्लीमेंट दोज थिंग्स. फॉर द अपर्चर ऑलरेडी यू हैव एक्सप्लेन, तो अगेन फिर अपर्चर ही कहोगे तो बात तो बराबर हो गई ना. आइदर आउटडोर अपर्चर और आइदर इंडोर अपर्चर, वॉट एवर द impact is that you wanted shallow depth of field, right? For the motion blur you wanted motion blur, that's okay. तो हो गया. अब क्या हो सकता है? तो it's very practical situations. Sometimes what happen, we are shooting indoor, right? हम शूट कर रहे हैं ऑन लाइक 25 fps और समथिंग इज लाइक दैट, राइट? 25 fps शूट कर रहे हैं. फॉर एग्जांपल बता रहा हूँ, एक इज द प्रैक्टिकल एग्जांपल. एंड समहाउ द डायरेक्टर केम, और जो भी आप शूट कर रहे हैं, दे told you that now we're gonna shoot higher fps, 50 पे शूट कर दो. Now, without ND filter, what happened? Again, you have to change the intensity of light. Again, you have to set lighting conditions. Again, you have to set your exposure, right? If you will manipulate it with the, because you are shooting videos with the aperture, the scene will be changed, the depth of field impact will be changed, right? Change होगा ना. Suppose you are shooting on 2.8, अब तुम कह रहे हो अरे यार ये करना पड़ा, just shoot in 2 or 1.4, whatever one stop is, right? कि 1 पे कर लेते हैं, open the aperture. Now you get shallow depth of field. Scene match नहीं करेगा. So what we did practically, that is कि when we started lighting, we put 1 or 2 stop ND filter on it and doing lighting for that, because as earlier I told you, it won't affect you any kind of colors or इसका कोई impact नहीं होता. Only impact is it will only reduces the intensity of light. So color पे कुछ नहीं हो रहा है, तो what you can do, you can fix 1 or 2 stop, right? And you start lighting for it. So when it comes to you that now you have to shoot on 50 FPS, right? So you have to increase your shutter by 1 stop. So, तो क्या हो जाएगा? 50 become 100. It means 1 stop का difference आ गया. So you have to do lighting for that. You have to increase the intensity of light, right? So the things is that without changing anything, just take out your, आप बस अपना एनडी बाहर निकाल लीजिए, you will get same exposure or not. You will get same exposure or not. मिल जाएगा ना, आपको मिल जाएगा वो एक्सपोजर. कोई कंफ्यूजन है किसी को?
मिल जाएगा.
तो अगर सिचुएशन की बात कर रहा हूं, इफ दे आस्क लाइक दैट कि राइट डाउन द 3 सिचुएशंस इन व्हिच यू वांट टू यूज फिल्टर्स, एनडी फिल्टर्स. तो बेसिकली अभी तक तो यही पता है ना भाई, स्लो शटर के लिए यूज करना है, एंड फॉर द अगर आउटडोर शूट कर रहे हैं तो शैलो डेप्थ ऑफ फील्ड के लिए यूज करना, राइट? यही है बस. Third is you have to create the situation in which you can use. And there's the practical things. Most of the time we did these things. We started lighting, we put the ND filter over there. Maybe someone can come, director can come and ask me, I shoot on 50 FPS. Right? So at that point of time, I'll just take out your ND filters and start shooting. कुछ नहीं करना पड़ा आपको, वहीं का वहीं आपने शूट कर दिया. So that's the things, that's the point, that 3 point we need to discuss. और क्या है? बड़ा सिंपल है, 2 स्लॉट होते, पढ़ लीजिए एक बार इसे. स्क्रू इन फिल्टर होता है जिसको आप टाइट करते हैं, स्लॉट इन फिल्टर होता है जिसको आप स्लॉट में डालते हैं. दिस आर द एनडी फिल्टर स्टॉप और फैक्टर. अगर कोई कह रहा है कि 1 स्टॉप है, इट मींस एनडी फैक्टर इज 2. इट मींस इन टर्म्स ऑफ लाइटिंग, राइट? क्या आप कर रहा है. ऑप्टिकल डेंसिटी का 0.3 लिखा हुआ है कि हाउ मच लाइट, 0.3 इज द डेंसिटी ऑफ द फिल्टर्स की हाउ एब्जॉर्प्शन पावर इज, कितना एब्जॉर्ब करके लाइट छोड़ रहा है, दैट्स द डेंसिटी पावर. तो कहीं पे आपको, कहीं पे लिखा हुआ रहेगा आइदर द स्टॉप, कहीं पे फिल्टर फैक्टर, कहीं पर ऑप्टिकल डेंसिटी. तो ये स्टार्टेड फ्रॉम द 0.3 अगर डेंसिटी लिखा है, फिल्टर फैक्टर लिखा है, द 1 स्टॉप, एंड डी फैक्टर है, इट विल बी 2. 1 2 यू कैन सी लाइक ये लाइटिंग कंडीशन में आ रहा है, डबलिंग द थिंग्स, 2 4 8 16 32 64 128 यही आ रहा है. And this side you can see fact is 1 stop, 2 stop, 3 stop. 2 stop means what? Suppose for an example अभी मैं बता देता हूँ जिससे कि आपको एनडी फैक्टर पता चल जाएगा. 2 stop means suppose you are shooting on 500 like 1/500 shutter speed. If you are using ND filter 1 stop, क्या होगा? Now what the shutter will be?
600
shutter क्या हो जाएगा?
सॉरी 800 आई गेस.
क्या?
800 आई गेस, एक स्टॉप बढ़ेगा.
नहीं 500 है, 500 1/500 it is.
अगर हम एक ND3 अगर यूज करेंगे तो इट विल इंक्रीज बाय 3
1
स्टॉप.
स्टॉप एनडी हमने यूज किया, 1 स्टॉप एनडी यूज किया.
हाँ, सो 1/500 के ऊपर शटर 800 है आई गेस.
नहीं फिर अभी आप फिर कंफ्यूज. उस दिन भी मैंने कहा था कि आप वो कैमरे से मत जोड़ो, कैमरा इज डिजिटल थिंग्स. उसने बीच में 800 700 घुसा दिया एवरी टाइम. Whatever number is given over there, you have to make it double or half. If this is the 500, that will become 1000.
Okay.
That will become 1000. It means to compensate it, you need to shoot on 1 by 250. It becomes the one stop darker, you use it, right? So what happened? You can use 1 by 250. So that's the double or not. Two stop हो गया है double factor. Double का factor आया ना in terms of lighting.
Right.
When there is a two stop, now you can shoot on 1 by 25. Right? क्या हो गया? 4 टाइम हो गया. आपका जा रहा है ना, आधा आधा होते जा रहा है ना ये, है ना. सिंपल है. 1 stop means double, 2 stop means what?
4 times.
4 time, 3 stop means 8 time, 4 stop means 16 times in terms of lighting basically. Lighting में क्या होता है? If you compensate the exposure, either it will be half or double. यही होता है ना. तो 1 stop half करेगा, 2 stop quarter करेगा, like that. ऐसे ही चलता रहेगा. So that's the things for the ND filter. Okay, guys, take a short break. I will resume by in 10 minutes, 8:20. We'll resume it. Okay. क्या कहा तुम्हारी तरह?
Yes, sir.
Okay. पीपीटी दिख रहा है ना सबको?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. You explain it very well. Yeah, no. That's good. So it's all images from that Dasara, right?
Yes,
In the
sir.
different days that you captured, right? Or
Yeah,
either
sir.
only the one day's picture it is. Whole
No, this
picture
is
that you have shared over here is
three,
the different days pictures.
yeah, I stayed there for 3 days and I got
You captured it. Okay. So in this picture, it's good. Picture is good. But one thing, see in the foreground, how much area, right? Have you seen my cursor?
Yes.
Yeah, you can see this area. Do you need this area? Is the area have some, the relevance with the, whatever the thing is going on there, but the character is there. This area, थोड़ा सा area ले सकते थे. That can show up the road and the geographically it will establish those things. But your character look more prominent once you cut this area, once this crop these areas. Because you can see the 30 to 40% area that is in foreground, there is a nothing. If maybe some person will be there or something else, then it's look nice. Also, your composition is good in terms of you crop this thing, see the line on diagonal line on above by the wire and by the characters on the below. Have you seen this line? If you have the image, try to crop it. And agar isme hoga kya? No.
Okay.
Not possible.
I thought that I want to establish this dryness of this geography. So
So half of the area you can use, not that too much. You use too much. That's why I'm telling you, since this plastics, you can show
okay,
this
sir.
dryness, no? But it's too much. So what you can do, if I have, no, this is also showing the dryness, no? Right?
Yeah.
You can crop it bit, and now you can see how images. No? You must have to wait for 1 or 2 or 3 more images. That girl is looking backward. Try to capture those moments when she also start traveling. See
Okay.
that the person is a red lungis. This one.
Yeah.
How motion and movement you captured. Same things will be here, but he sees in foreground, and those things is missing. Right. And I must say that the girl says in have you seen my cursor that the yellow something on the face
Yeah.
is leading the things or something else that is happening over there, right? There
Yeah.
is some difference with the other persons, right?
Yeah.
Something on her face. So you must have to, it must be a bit prominent than the others. So it's look bigger, somehow your angle should like that. But overall, your image is good in terms of colors, the background, the composition. The how diagonal composition can make things bigger. If it will be a straight, what happened? People will overlap each other. But through the diagonal composition, everyone have their own space, right? If you capture it from the front, what happened after 5 or 6 images, 6 persons, they will overlap. So it creates certain depth in your images. That's a good. You need to only crop these areas. Again. Nice. So good pictures you captured. In terms of colors, you can say there's a contrast also. We'll work on it. Well balanced image is yours. Well balanced image. You can give bit more space in left hand side, so it's not cropping. So you can. Oh, there's another person is sitting over there, right?
Yes. Yes.
Um, I think you have done color correction, right?
Yeah. The basic color correction. Not graded, but
The shot is nice. Yeah, oh, that is some basic color correction that you need. This shot is okay here, but what happened if you shoot it if you shoot it wider, right? Geographically, you can establish the location with the characters. What the impact of this particular character on the society is. This is the portrait of that Kali, right? But what is the
yeah.
impact of these things on the societies? You must have to cover those things also. So if it will be wider geographically or wo jo area है, that area you can establish and the impact of this particular character तुम दिखा सकते थे. No, this image is also nice. Yeah, very nice. I mean, you can what you can do now, just for the suggestion, no? You can only take hand of that character. So the boys look more dominating. Abhi kya ho raha hai that the forehead is coming inside the frame, no? So
Oh yeah.
because it's in foreground, so it's covering more area. Or abhi somehow the center of interest is bit distracted due to the color, the center of interest in the characters, even with the expressions, also with the gesture of the hand, every finger is visible properly. So you choose a certain nice angle in which the gesture of a hand captured properly. So that's a good idea. Again, in terms of contrast, it's a good picture. Must be a bit wider because you are showing that the fatherhood, right?
Ah,
Every parents, every father, they're holding their child over here, no? So there will be then masks, correct? But what happens is very, claustrophobic it looks like. So it will be wider, now you feel breathe for those things, no? Because people are there for enjoying those elements, right?
yeah, yeah.
It will be a bit wider, no? Because your telephoto lens that you have used. You use some telephoto lens,
Yes, I used a zoom lens,
zoom lens.
18 to
That's a zoom
140.
to 140. Now, so that's the reason you can see now. Once you are totally zoom in, become the telephoto, see how
Yes.
claustrophobic it is. Sabko kya kara close leke aa gaya. So if you are shooting in wide, even if they are closing to each other, you feel breathing of it due to lensing. So it's most important choosing the lens in the specific event. Even you can start it with this characters only. This is a foreground head is not looking nice. But the diagonal line, again, making diagonal lines dynamic, you can avoid few people. So this characters will more dynamic. It's look more dynamic in your frame. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so good. Spacious. Again, I'm talking about these things. If it will be wider, or geographically you are established the things, right? हो रहा है ना?
Uh,
Because most of the your images portrait is good. In terms of portrait, there's a story, there's a certain colors. But if you captured white at the time of when you are learning those things, if you are capturing white, now you have many things to, compose. So at that point of time, you learn many things. In this image, see, if they are facing towards you, it will be more dynamic. I think you have those images too. Yeah, well, nice one, good one. Your image is very well composed. Again, it will be more wider और सही
yeah.
लगता. The same images is in dark, so yeah, that's good. Nice. This images you must have to look that the back head is that this person is not looking nice in composition, right? So try to avoid it and take one character or two characters in which their one eye at least the one eye is visible and it will be in that kind of composition that will be in foreground. So kind of perspective you can make it. Abhi kya ho raha hai, there's a more forehead in your foreground, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
ho kya raha hai? Want your center of interest is these things.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay.
Your center of this is your center of interest, right? Then why these elements is there? So you can take one characters and then establish those things. चलिए, 1 second. That was the last one, right? Gautam?
Yes, and
That was the last one. Okay.
one more file I have sent at that random captures.
अच्छा, random guys, just let's see it. I think. Whose file is? ये किसका है? ये किसका है?
Sir, what? Uh,
This one?
no, no.
No, I will discuss that one. Firstly, I just wanted to. Prajwal Mohite. Prajwal, are you there? I don't think Prajwal is there. Prajwal, are you there? No. So we'll discuss Mudit. Mudit, you're there, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mudit.
Prajwal is also here. He replied on the comment.
Right. Oh, chalo. Yeah. Okay, let's start. Mudit, मेरा color contrast. चलिए. You made it on Canva?
Yes, sir.
You know, the variation in the red color is बाकी किसी भी कलर से बहुत ज्यादा होता है. क्या लिखा तुमने कि कलर रेड? Two things comes in mind. Yeah, maybe the two things, but there's a several things that comes with the red color. At the same time, red is for the love, as you mentioned over here. At the same time, some more people are using that red for the lust also, right? At the same point of time, red is for the danger also. The red people are using for the passion too, right? So red का जितना है उतना किसी कलर का नहीं है. But it's totally depend upon how people using these things. So ठीक है, तुमने इसे like एक वे में रखा है, how emotionally you convey those things. So where is the contrast in this one, Mudit? Mudit, where
Yes,
is the
sir.
contrast? Where is the contrast? Your
Sir,
image is good that you captured for us. हाँ बताओ.
contrast as in
कॉन्ट्रास्ट में मैंने क्या कहा था? डिफरेंस बिटवीन टोन्स. अभी जैसे वहां ब्लू वाला है उससे कॉन्ट्रास्ट है, बट दैट ब्लू इज नॉट डोमिनेटिंग. सो दैट दिस रेड इज क्रिएटिंग हार्मोनी, राइट? दैट रेड इज क्रिएटिंग द टुगेदरनेस. अभी ये हार्मोनी हो गया इंस्टेड ऑफ योर कलर. अच्छा यूज किया आपने, बट यू यूज ओनली रेड कलर्स. आई आस्क यू फॉर द कैप्चर ऑन द कॉन्ट्रास्ट, राइट? कॉन्ट्रास्ट मीन द सेपरेशन बिटवीन टू टोन्स. तो रेड है, पीछे ब्लू है, तो ऐसा कुछ दिखाई देता, दैट विल क्रिएट कॉन्ट्रास्ट. ये कॉन्ट्रास्ट क्रिएट नहीं कर रहा है, ये काइंड ऑफ हार्मोनी बना रहा है. दिस इज क्रिएटिंग हार्मोनी, सेंस ऑफ हार्मोनी बेसिकली, है ना? इमेज इज गुड. थोड़ा सा लेफ्ट साइड काट सकते थे, और दैट गार्बेज एरियाज एंड दैट एरिया इज कमिंग विद इन द फ्रेम.
सर वो पर्पसली वैसे फ्रेम बनाया गया था क्योंकि वो लोकेशन मुझे शो करनी थी, और जो गार्बेज एरिया वो है वो कंट्रास्ट मुझे लगा कि ब्लू के ऊपर जो रेड आप देखोगे तो स्काई
वो
एंड जो डिब्री पड़ा हुआ है.
वो उतना ब्लू डोमिनेट नहीं कर. द रीजन इज इट शुड बी दैट कैरेक्टर शुड बी बिट नियर बाय द ब्लू, क्योंकि आई थिंक वो बहुत दूर है, या क्या? आपका कलर सही से पकड़ में नहीं आया. दैट्स द रीजन. दैट्स व्हाई आई टोल्ड यू ना, देयर इज अ ब्लू, बट ऑन दैट ब्लू देयर इज अ मोर थिंग दैट इज व्हाइट, राइट? स्काई इज आल्सो अपीयरिंग व्हाइट काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स. आपका जो
ओके.
लेफ्ट हैंड साइड में ब्लू है, उसके ऊपर भी ये कुछ पड़ा हुआ है ना, ग्रे सा व्हाइट सा. ये है ना, दिस
यस
थिंग्स.
सर. यस सर.
पूरा ब्लू होता तो दैट्स ग्रेट कॉन्ट्रास्ट, बट इमेज इज गुड. होल्ड ऑन, अगेन हियर इज अ कॉन्ट्रास्ट. ये ठीक है. See, when you're shooting low angle, also it's showing the dominance of it, right? तो ठीक है वो जो आपने अपने हिसाब से पोर्ट्रे किया चीजों को, but in terms of contrast, yeah, within these two characters, there's a contrast in terms of color of shirt, right?
यस सर।
उसमें contrast है in terms of color, there's a contrast. एक दो इमेज थे।
हाँ सर, वो आपने 2 इमेजेस ही कहा था।
Yeah, ठीक है, चलिए। Okay, let's see another one. मुदित, प्रज्वल, और किसी ने भेजा प्रज्वल के अलावा? Always a part of conversation when people discuss artists. I feel artists always see world differently in the image. The place is colored in different colors, which make the session out and it creates its own plane place in the composition. All other things of the composition, like cars in the building, doesn't have much colors. This contrast appears. This one different. Right. Yeah, there is a contrast between इसमें you can choose two object only, right? अभी क्या हुआ, three चीजें, foreground में car that is colorless, right? In background also there's a colorless. Somehow what happened, there's a too many things that is colorless. So okay, right, in your screen and in your composition, more space is taken by your colorless things. So that's the reason your contrast is not dominating, that color is not dominating. See it properly, it's look like a balanced image, right? Somehow if you avoid this, the lower one, अभी इसमें हो नहीं रहा है, if I crop it properly then I'm able to do that, but ये crop नहीं हो रहा है मुझसे. Now you can see it. अभी क्या हो रहा है, कलर्स थोड़ा तो डोमिनेट कर रहा है ना.
यस सर।
बट बिफोर दैट क्या था ना, कि डल चीजें बहुत ज्यादा थी. सो दैट्स अ वन रीजन कि वो काफी बैलेंस कर रहा था तुम्हारे इमेज को. Yeah, again, this is nice image, yeah. And this is the statue hidden in the grand tree is clear, very poetic composition. It feels like there is soul in the state, and the soul is loved by the nature, which also create the thought that these human souls are not very aware about the nature and the beauty hidden in it. Okay, thought is good about these pictures. Even you can give the more dominance towards these pictures, no? थोड़ा सा और dominance ले सकते थे ना, like this, right? अभी क्या ना, लीफ ज्यादा डोमिनेट कर रहा है, तो थोड़ा सा इसे और क्रॉप कर सकते हैं, बट ओवरऑल इमेज इज गुड. And in terms of color contrast, it's really nice. It's really nice image. Nice image. अभी किसका बचा है? हाँ, मुदित हो गया, प्रज्वल हो गया, एंड और एक मेरा मुझे, सागर, यू सेंड मी a message, right? Sagar, are you there? One second, sir. So is it taken by you, right? Okay. So next time just make it in PPT, no, one by one. No, it's really this is. Could you explain this image, Sagar? Why is this breaking? Okay, leave it. You do one thing, Sagar. You just write it down. I'll let you know. Just write it down. So what happened ना कि अभी क्या हो रहा है means there's the broad geographically establishing the areas in foreground also there's your characters that color is dominating but the thing is that it's not showing the expression of the person when वही का back head से shot लेना बंद करो थोड़ा सा face दिखना चाहिए एक साइड से at least one eyes right ये बैक हेड से समझ में ही नहीं आता कुछ की एक्सप्रेशन क्या चल रहा है क्या नहीं हो रहा है ऑल्सो जो स्पेस है आपकी बॉडी का भी दूसरा हैंड ओवरलैप हो गया तो देयर मस्ट बी पीपल आर वॉकिंग ओवर देयर जो जेस्चर है यू मस्ट हैव टू कैप्चर प्रॉपरली द अनदर थिंग्स इज the right hand side is more weight than the left hand side so you have to compose like that because this person have the colors person wearing colorful things you should must compose towards the left this character so it will be balanced अभी आप पूरा इमेज गौर से देखो it look unbalanced person is center right hand side is the more weight because of the people buildings and everything and the left hand side is empty there's nothing so if you compose like that the person will be in the left hand side and in foreground and the rest of the things in the background that is colorless that is also create a contrast right अभी क्या हो रहा है it's look unbalanced is it or not visually सब देखो जरा गौर से half of the picture divide करो left hand side is it empty or not खाली लग रहा है ना आपका एरिया है ना और अगर कलर आपने यूज किया ना कि उसका सेंटर ऑफ अट्रैक्शन लगे फिर भी क्या हो रहा है द राइट साइड इज मोर डोमिनेटिंग आपका कलर वाला जो पर्सन इज शुड लुक डोमिनेटिंग इफ यू गेट क्लोजर टू इट देन यू फील इट कुछ ऐसा समहाउ दिख रहा है ये इमेज सबको आई एम पॉजिशनिंग दिस इमेज आर यू एबल टू सी इट मैं इस इमेज को पॉजिशन कर रहा हूँ दिख रहा है आप लोगों को anyone can answer guys I am positioning this image are you able to see it now see अगर दिख रहा है आप लोगों को तो अभी देखना जरा थोड़ा सा और कम कर ले
ये सर दिख रहा है सर सॉरी माइक ऑफ था मैं बोल रहा था सॉरी
चलो इट्स ओके नाउ सी सर अब ये कलर ज्यादा सेंट्रिक लग रहा है डोमिनेटिंग लग रहा है
हम्म
और इमेज बैलेंस लग रहा है अभी एक्चुअली प्रॉपर नहीं लग रहा है बिकॉज ऊपर के लोग कट रहे हैं अगर कंपोज ऐसा करते ही विल बी ऑन लेफ्ट हैंड साइड राइट द राइट हैंड साइड द थिंग्स इज देयर दैट कलर लुक डोमिनेटिंग और नॉट
हम्म
where you capture this image so lord जो है 1 second क्या ये क्या इफेक्ट है कौन सा इफेक्ट है जो आपने कैप्चर किया है क्या कहते हैं इसको सिल्हूट इफेक्ट कहते हैं क्या कहते हैं यही कहते हैं। आपका इमेज है ना सागर? सिलहट इफेक्ट का मेन पर्पस क्या है पता है, और वो कैसे डोमिनेट दिखता है? देयर मस्ट बी शेप, बिकॉज टेक्सचर तो दिख नहीं रहा है, यू आर नॉट सीइंग द टेक्सचर ऑफ इट, सो देयर मस्ट बी शेप दैट इज प्रोमिनेंटली विजिबल। अभी क्या हो रहा है, 3 कैरेक्टर दिख रहे हैं, आपको लग रहा है हाथ में कुछ है, बट इट्स ओवरलैपिंग, राइट? when they fade hand and body gestures and everything. Have you seen the dance shows? छोड़ो, इतना छोड़ देते हैं इसका। माइकल जैक्सन का मून वॉक देखा है? मून वॉक में सीन है ना सिलॉट वाले सीन है ना उसमें, है ना? सी हाउ द बॉडी जेस्चर इज कमिंग व्हेन देयर इज अ बैकलाइट। अभी क्या हो रहा है आपका, ये कंपोजिशन ठीक है आपका, बट द थिंग्स इज दैट जो भी चीजें हैं उसका शेप निकल के नहीं आ रहा है, प्रॉपर शेप निकल के आ रहा है, पैर का ओवरलैप कर रहा है, हैंड का ओवरलैप कर रहा है, राइट? अगर वो शेप अच्छे से निकल के आ जाएगा तो ये अपने आप अच्छा लगेगा। जैसे इसी में देखो, ये भी वही इफेक्ट है। हैंड का जेस्चर, बैट अगर इस साइड होता तो दोनों हैंड से ट्राइंगल बनता, राइट? इज इट ओवरलैपिंग और नॉट प्रॉपरली? क्या बॉडी का पूरा जेस्चर दिख रहा है? अगेन द लेग इज ओवरलैपिंग, दोनों लेग के बीच का गैप प्रॉपर नहीं दिख रहा है। ये शॉट काफी अच्छा हो जाता तुम्हारा अगर तुम थोड़ा सा राइट हैंड साइड आके क्लिक क्लिक करते एंड यू कैप्चर द होल जेस्चर, या ठीक अपोजिट जाके क्लिक करते तो यू कैन सी दोस हैंड्स प्रॉपरली। अभी हैंड दिख ही नहीं रहा है, दैट हैंड विजिबल प्रॉपरली? हैंड कोई शेप, कोई स्ट्रक्चर, कोई जेस्चर बन रहा है, हैंड का नहीं बन रहा है। तो व्हेन यू आर क्लिकिंग दिस काइंड ऑफ इमेजेस, जस्ट थिंक अबाउट इट, इट शुड नॉट ओवरलैप, प्रॉपर जेस्चर दिखना चाहिए, बिकॉज स्किन टोन इमोशन कुछ नहीं दिख रहा है। तो थ्रू द बॉडी लैंग्वेज, थ्रू द बॉडी जेस्चर, यू आर कन्वेइंग दोज थिंग्स, यू आर कन्वेइंग दोज इमोशंस। अभी तुम इसकी एनर्जी दिखा रहे हो यहाँ पर, और उसमें क्या है, पूरे बॉडी का जेस्चर निकल के ही नहीं आ रहा है, इट्स ओवरलैपिंग, राइट? सो फॉर द नेक्स्ट टाइम जब भी क्लिक करो तो एक बार वो करके देखो, जेस्चर को सही से कैप्चर करके देखो, देन यू फील द डिफरेंसेस। And not only about the one day's task that I have given you guys, ki just shoot on contrast at once, you shoot, and it's okay. Every day you need to capture, either we discuss or not, but every day you need to capture images, at least 4, 5, 6, 10 per day. You can see, you can feel the differences after 15 days in your composition sense. Within 15 days, you can feel those things. So start capturing those elements, right? So that's for the today. I asked you guys to watch what films? Like Roma, right?
Yes, sir, Roma.
Roma. So the next classes, whenever it will be the Sunday or Monday. So for the next classes, Saturday by 4. And guys, please try to send me before 4. The Roma के जो film appreciation है, film analysis है वो, please send it to me. So once what happened, अगर एक दिन पहले भेज दोगे तो it's easy for me to, I will read it. तो यहाँ मुझे नहीं पढ़ना पड़ेगा. So you can send it day before, right?
Sir, right now I didn't have any idea about film appreciation. So how we
Don't
should
write
explain? We could.
what I told you yesterday, guys. Only write 10 points. Don't go with it. Don't copy from
Yeah.
anywhere. Don't go with the Google. Just write down the 10 points that you feel when you are
So.
watching films. That's okay.
Okay.
Only
Okay.
pointers. Write down that things. At
Okay.
least I will understand how you analyze the films. That's why I'm telling you. I'm not giving you any ideas how to
No,
write about it. Right?
I'm asking
I'll
that.
give you, but not right now. So firstly, I wanted to know that what's your approach when you are
Okay.
watching films,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
So
Okay.
only write down in 10 points. And what was the easiest way that I'm explaining you guys? Maybe it's
Later,
not necessary. Yeah.
later we will watch a movie and we will discuss it in a group.
Yeah, sure. We'll
Okay.
not watch full movies. I will just play a few clips over there, right? On which we can discuss.
Okay. Okay. Okay, sir.
Right. So that we
Okay.
will do later. But the firstly, I just wanted to know that key, what's your approach is when you are analyzing the films, right? So
Okay.
it's easy. I'm explaining you one thing that don't go with many times what happened if you started writing in English, or like you feel that you are not getting right, like words or right things, you are not able to convey the emotion that you wanted to explain, right? So
Yeah.
if anyone have the problem to write in English, what you can do, just write those emotions in your original language, write those things in your original language, then translate it. That will be much better, because many times you get stuck when you are explaining it. Many people have those problems. Maybe I'm not, don't get me wrong कि English नहीं आती, मैं ये नहीं कह रहा हूँ, right? I'm telling you कि if you feel uncomfort कि यार language नहीं मिल रहा, सही से sentence नहीं बन रहा है, many times people are getting those problems. So write those feelings in your language. Now अब तो Google भी translate कर देगा ना उसे. So firstly, write those things that you wanted to explain, right? Don't get it with the grammars and at all. So that's the one easiest way to explain the films. So firstly, if the Saturday there is a class, send me by the Friday so I'm able to read it out, right?
Okay, sir.
Okay, dear. Thank you guys. Thank you all. Thank you. Good night.